Yeah, Monday. Welcome to Primetime Pregame. I'm Erik Kuselias. Oh, you know what the deal is tonight. The great state of Texas. Deep in the heart of Texas. I'm sure my clapping was off, but you get the point. That's where we're going. Texas, 2 steps. I'm ready. I got my little cowboy boots on. I got my little 10-gallon hat. And I am ready to see if the Dallas Cowboys are going to step back up after last week getting humiliated by the Eagles. And you know what's up. It's the Texans. It's CJ Stroud. It's Nico Collins back. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Joe Mixon, I can feel him already limbering up to get his 20 carries tonight. Yeah. And the Cowboys are 3-6. This is maybe the last stand. If, in fact, you believe there even is a last stand to be made. They're getting more than a touchdown. Meanwhile, the Texans, last week they had a big lead against Detroit and then gave it up and ended up losing. And they even the last loss before that against the Jets played well in the first half. Texans have started fast, but can they close the deal? You know the problem with the Texans. They're not a great red zone team. We've been talking about it for a year and a half. We'll see what they do tonight. All right. Let's get our guy in. Garrett Podell, CBS Sports beat writer for the Dallas Cowboys at the stadium. I see it behind you. The glare where CeeDee Lamb couldn't see and dropped the ball. You are there on site. So let's start with CeeDee Lamb. Is he going to go tonight? How healthy is he? And is this an injury where if they have 3-6 becomes 3-8 or 9 that they might shut this guy down? Because a lot of people who have him on their fantasy team want to know what's going on with CeeDee Lamb.
Well, I think, Eric, that CeeDee Lamb, he's going to play tonight, okay? On a conference call on Saturday, Mike McCarthy said, I'm not of high concern of Lamb's status today. And COO Stephen Jones, he got on the radio today and said, I feel pretty good about Lamb's chances to play. And I'm going to go back to a week ago when I was speaking to Lamb ahead of their game against the Eagles, and he was coming off a game against the Falcons in which he banged up his shoulder. Like you could visibly see he fell on it 3 times. It looked pretty bad, like he was going to miss some time. But then I spoke to him that Thursday, and he said to me, look, my durability is an underrated trait. I represent a ton of people. I take care of a ton of people. And I know that so many people pay their top dollar or last dollar to come see me play. And he ended up playing the whole game. So I fully expect CeeDee Lamb to be out there. And I think it's going to take an act of God to keep CeeDee Lamb off the football field if he's healthy.
Fair enough. And I like that answer, and I like the fact that you actually spoke with him and were able to sort of look in his eyes and get that thought. Now let's go to the coach, Mike McCarthy. Is there a scenario? What does he need to do at minimum to come back? I mean, I'm not there in that city. You are. I don't know how loud the chatter is that it's already over. I mean, is his job on the line? Is it already a decision has been made? Is there anything he can do to save it? I mean, where are we with Mike McCarthy?
That's a great question. The chatter here in Dallas is extremely loud. Everyone likes to talk about a hot seat. His seat is en fuego, flames engulfing it. Really, he's kind of been cooked since last January, if you think about it. So they lost in the playoffs right here. I was at the game against the Packers, 48-32. What does Jerry Jones do in the offseason? Nothing. And he waited and waited to extend Lamb and Prescott. And he let McCarthy and his entire staff enter the year as lame ducks. And I had a chance to speak to Jerry after their preseason finale against the Chargers. And what he said to me is, we've all got Green Bay on our mind when asked, well, why is the offseason gone the way it's gone? So Jerry's almost kind of been punishing Mike for that playoff defeat in the way it happened because they didn't really add anyone in free agency. They've relied on rookies up front on the offensive line and said, this is probably your least talented team in your 5 years coaching this team. Good luck. And, for him to keep his job, he'd probably have to make the playoffs. But with Cooper Rush and Trey Lance, I don't know that that's going to happen. Today, the Cowboys officially placed Dak Prescott on IR after his hamstring surgery that he had in New York, so he won't be playing again this year. I think he's pretty much cooked.
All right. Let's start in Dallas quickly. I noticed you mentioned not only Cooper Rush, but both will play. Is it Cooper Rush on a short leash, for lack of a better term? What's the philosophy coming into tonight with the Cowboy quarterbacks?
Well, Mike McCarthy's been unequivocal that this is Cooper Rush's opportunity. He said that he even compared Cooper Rush to Rich Gannon, who won the 2002 NFL MVP, because at the beginning of Mike McCarthy's coaching career, he coached Gannon when he was a backup on the Kansas City Chiefs in the mid to late 90s. And so this is going to be Rush's opportunity. He looks for Rush to distribute the football. Last week, he had the botched snap that led to a fumble and immediate turnover shortly into the game. He's looking for Rush to be a game manager, but this isn't really a team where there's a whole lot to manage. This is one of the worst rushing offenses, the second worst in the entire NFL, and a defense that has been chewed up on the ground all year. And that's not exactly a formula to support a backup quarterback in the ways that they did in 2021 and 2022 when he won 5 of his first 6 starts here. So there will be some Trey Lance. They're going to use some packages for him. A week ago, Mike McCarthy said, I don't know if we can work Trey Lance in, and they worked him in end of third quarter. He played the whole fourth quarter. I think there'll be some packages for him tonight. Mike McCarthy said it's not too hard to do that and work on that in practice, but it's going to be predominantly Cooper Rush unless he absolutely stinks up the joint here.
All right, let's go over to the Texans side, and their quarterback is C.J. Stroud, led the NFL in passing yards last year, whole bunch of yards. This year, lost Stephon Diggs, although he didn't have Diggs on last year's team, but he was counting on him this year. Nico Collins has missed a lot of time. What are we seeing with C.J. Stroud? I know you're writing an article on this. What's essentially the thesis on C.J. Stroud year 2, where, look, a lot of guys sometimes have just a sophomore slump. It's not a phrase for no reason, right?
You're absolutely right, Eric. And to me, the biggest slump for the Texans from this year to last year for Stroud is up front along their offensive line. He's getting pressured about 4.5% more than he was a year ago. And he's right now 31st out of 36 qualified quarterbacks in terms of the pressure they're facing, that 39.4% rate, 31st out of 36. So what that says is he's under duress more often than ever before. His overall career pass rating is in the low 90s, but when he's pressured, it drops all the way down to 78.7 for his career, which that's natural. Almost any quarterback, if they're pressured, they're going to play worse. But so the issue is, so how are they going to fix it? I spoke on Zoom this morning with our quarterback expert, Matt Ryan, and we were talking about how they really need to run the ball more. Joe Mixon's averaging the 3rd most rushing yards per game in the NFL, just behind Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry, and a career high in carries too, just under 22 a game. But as a team, they're running the ball about 28.4 carries a game, which is slightly above average. But to support an offensive line that works best when it's outside zone blocking and getting out in space, maybe a lighter offensive line, you want to run the ball more and get somewhere in the 30s to support C.J. Stroud, allow him to get the play action game going under offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick, and get him in much more of a rhythm. Because Houston's front, so in a metric by Trench Warfare, they combined the raw athleticism score that you generate as a prospect from the NFL Combine and the weight of this Texans line. They're 26th out of the 32 NFL offensive lines. So this is not a good group up front. So Stroud's doing the best he can with that unit, but really, I think they need to pound Joe Mixon even more than they already have.
Well done. Last question. How's the spread at the stadium? Has Jerry put out a good spread for you guys or what? I mean, what are they serving in the press box tonight?
Oh, the spread, Jerry gets media food right. So he has us some nice beef tenderloin, the mac and cheese with the breadcrumbs on it. If you've never had AT&T Stadium mac and cheese, I would highly encourage you to make a pilgrimage out here just for that mac and cheese alone. And then they'll rotate throughout the game. They'll have, shrimp sandwiches, salads, your classic at halftime, post-game wings, hot dogs, cake balls, cookies, popcorn. I mean, this is a food palace in addition to a palace of a stadium. And I've been to a number of NFL and college football press boxes and evaluated their spreads. This far and away is number one.
Yeah, I knew that. That's why I asked. Jerry is legendary for the spread that he puts out for you guys. I just want to know what you were getting tonight. Garrett Podell, excellent job. Our CBS beat writer covering the Dallas Cowboys as Dallas is at home tonight taking on the Houston Texans. All right, so CBS Sports HQ, this is what we do. Like, we're not just bringing on somebody. We're at the stadium. You can actually see it behind you. And we're bringing on people who have talked to CeeDee Lamb and have talked to Mike McCarthy and know what's up. And this gives us a better insight so we can better give you the better wagers, the better highlights, the better news. It's all right here. In fact, based upon the information we have, who is primed to have a big game and who is somebody you should fade tonight? We'll break that down next. I'm Erik Kuselias. Yeah, Primetime Pregame.